Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have a composition to share with you. This one was posed to the character Beth Harmon in episode 6 of 7 in the Netflix series The Queen's Gambit. In that series, only the first correct move was shared. So what I'd like to do here is share this composition solution in full. Those of you who already watched this series, you may be curious, why was only the first correct move shared? From a chess standpoint at least, I believe it's because knowing move 1 meant you held the key to unlocking this composition. Move 1, as it turns out, is the most difficult move to find, and there's an important inference we can make from move 1. So with that said, let me go ahead and present this to you basically how it was presented to Beth Harmon. How does white checkmate in 3 moves? If you'd like to try and work this one out on your own, now would be the time to pause the video. Okay, and now for the solution. Move 1 is king to queen's 7. Now, for many of you, I'm sure that sounds a bit off, especially if you haven't watched this series yet. Nowadays, we use algebraic notation, or we talk in algebraic. We identify squares based on the coordinate plane, in other words. This series was based in the 1960s, and back then, descriptive notation was king. And throughout this video, I'm going to stick with descriptive notation. If you aren't already familiar with it, maybe by this video's end you will have picked up this new language, and who knows, maybe down the road, if you happen to pick up an older chess book, it will now be accessible to you, since older chess books are likely to be written in descriptive notation. From this initial position, there may be this train of thought that says, this knight is way out here in left field. Why not go to queen's 8 or queen bishop's 5, somewhere at least a little closer to controlling the squares near the black king? Well, the main idea behind king to queen 7, this inference we can make with king to queen 7, is that queen's 6 is now vacated for the knight. And from this post, it will serve a very useful role in defending this bishop, which will set up a very aesthetic finish. Now, you'll note, after king to queen 7, black only has 2 legal moves. King to king's knight 2, or bishop to king's knight 2. Let's look first at bishop to king's knight 2. From here, we play knight to queen 6, and now there are only 3 legal moves for black. The bishop can go to king's bishop 1, king's rook 1, or king's rook 3. It doesn't matter where the bishop goes in this position. Let's say it goes to king's bishop 1. The knight in all cases will go to king's 8, and that's mate. These are the only 2 squares white needs to control, and the knight does the job. Checkmate on board. That's the first variation, and the final one stems from this position right here where black plays their king to king's knight 2. Once more, white now plays to queen's 6. And there are 3 options this time for the black king. Let's look at each. Suppose the king goes to king's bishop 3. This should look a little familiar. White would now play into king's 8 for mate. Has to control these 2 once more. Another option, the king goes to king's rook 3. This allows now white to cover these 2 dark squares by capturing the knight, capturing the pawn for mate. And finally, if the black king plays to king's bishop 1, this allows the knight that is on king's knight 5 to drop into king's 6 for checkmate. Regardless of where the king goes from this position, it doesn't matter. There will be a knight move that will control those 2 key final squares, and the bishop will be supported in both cases, in all cases. So a nice little composition from this series that gets a thumbs up from me. Just sharing one quick note about this series. I found the scenes involving Mr. Scheibel to be my favorite. What are your thoughts? What do you think of this composition? What do you think of the series? Have you seen it? Are you going to see it? Feel free in the comments section to leave any feedback. And as usual, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.